Hey kiddos. Okay, so this is going to be your math lesson for April 6th. And for the next couple weeks, we're going to be talking about something called geometry. And geometry is the study of shapes. So that's what we're going to be talking about, different types of shapes and different types of figures. So you should be open in your math book to page 833, and it should look like the lesson that I have up here on the screen. It says hands-on angles at the top. So we're actually going to be doing 2 lessons, and I'm going to be going through kind of quickly. So remember, this is a video. So if I go too fast or you miss something, you can always go back and rewind. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. At the top, they kind of start with some vocabulary. And in my notebook, I have made a 3-column chart. And this is where I want you to keep track. We're going to be learning a lot of new math words that you need to be able to use and understand and know. So this is a great way to keep track of it. So you see I put the name of the figure, a place for a picture, which is where it says pick, and then description so that we can write about what each thing is. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to write down is an angle. It says an angle is made when 2 rays share the same endpoint. So the first thing we can write down on our page is angle. Okay, and then an angle looks something like that. Okay, and you can write down the description that's right here. 2 rays sharing the same endpoint. So 2 rays with same endpoint. Okay, write that in your notebook. 2 rays with the same endpoint make an angle. Well, so then you might be wondering, okay, so what's a ray? And then they go on to explain that. A ray is part of a line that has one endpoint and extends in one direction without ending. So a ray, I like to think of a ray of sunshine, right? So if you have the sun and it starts shining, the sun doesn't shine backwards on itself, right? The rays of the sun only go outward. So a ray can only go forever and ever and ever in one direction. So it has an endpoint. Think about that as your sun. And then it extends forever in one direction. So that's why all of our lines in math have these arrows on the end, because that's showing that they can be stretched forever and ever and ever. Even though we're not seeing it stretched forever, that's what this little arrow means. So a ray can go on forever in one direction. So I drew a figure that looks like that. So you can see I have my end point, and then it's going forever in that direction. Okay, and you can write down this part right here, part of a line that has one end point and extends in one direction. All right, and then an end point is the point that a ray starts at. So it's the part of a figure that literally looks like kind of like a little period. Okay, that's the end point. So you might want to write down end point. Draw a little dot. Okay, and that's where a ray begins. Okay, then the shared endpoint is called a vertex. So when 2 rays come together, they form a vertex. Okay, and the vertex, think of it as the corner. Okay, so if we have angles, the vertex would be right here, the corner. Okay, the shared endpoint. So what we're going to be talking about in this part of the lesson is, I'm going to skip through some pages here so you can turn now to page 835. We want to know if each angle is greater than, less than, or equal to 90 degrees. So what you can do, and they show this in your book, is you can use an index card or even the corner of a piece of paper to decide if an angle is greater than, less than, or equal to a right angle. So you see I have some angles on my paper. Okay, and then I got another piece of paper. And the corner of any piece of paper is 90 degrees. Okay, so a 90-degree angle makes a perfectly square corner. So if I wanted to decide if this angle is more or less than 90 degrees, I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to line it up. I'm going to get it lined up and then I'll show you. Okay, I'm going to line it up with the corner. Okay, so the edge of my paper is right here. See how my angle is sticking out in this direction? That means it is bigger than 90 degrees because it went past the 90-degree angle. Okay, so this angle, my top angle, is bigger than 90 degrees. Then I'm going to scoot down to this one. And when I try to line up with the corner, I end up covering up my angle. That means this angle fits inside my 90-degree angle, which means it's less than 90 degrees. So when they have a big open mouth like this, that's bigger than 90 degrees. If it has a little small mouth, that's less than 90 degrees. And then if it has a perfectly square corner, kind of looks like an L, then it's a 90-degree angle. So if you look at some of our examples, number 3 on your page has that small mouth. So this one is less than 90 degrees. Number 4 has a perfectly square corner. See the little square? That square shows you that this is automatically a 90-degree angle. So number 4 is a right angle. Number 5 has that small corner. Kind of looks like it's pinched together, so that means it's less than 90. Number 6, see the square? That means it's 90 degrees or a right angle. And then number 7 has the big mouth. This is a wide angle, so that means it's more than a right angle. Number 8 has a small mouth, so that means it's less than a 90-degree angle. Okay, so you're going to have some questions on that today, but I'm going to go ahead and go on to our next lesson. So if I skip over some of these things, you can always go back and do those on your own if you would like, but you don't have to. The only thing you have to do is complete today's Edge Elastic assignment. All right, so now I want you to be on page 839. And this page, this lesson is talking about polygons. So polygons is a word that you might want to add to your notebook. And a polygon is a closed two-dimensional figure formed by 3 or more straight sides that do not cross each other. So the shape has to be closed, which means it can't have any open sides. So think of it sort of like a door. You can't have any doors open in your shape. All of your shape has to be closed. And then all of the sides have to be straight. So you can't have any wiggly lines in order for it to be a polygon. And your sides should not cross each other. Okay. So we're going to be talking about attributes of shapes. An attribute is something that makes a figure what it is. Okay. So those attributes that we're going to be talking about today are the number of sides in a shape and the number of angles. So that's how we can identify what a shape is. So if you look at example 1, it says, look at the soccer ball. The blue shape outlined in white is a polygon. So if you look here, that's a polygon. Describe and classify the polygon by its attributes. So we want to explain the number of sides and the number of angles in order to prove that this polygon is a blank. So they show you here, it says a pentagon is a polygon with 5 sides and 5 angles. So if you look at the shape on the soccer ball, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, and then also has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corners. Okay, that's what makes it a polygon. 5 sides, 5 corners. Example 2, the road sign shown is a polygon. Describe and classify the polygon by its attributes. So when they say describe, they're asking you to tell about the sides and angles. Classify means to give it a name or put it in a category. So it says an octagon is a polygon with 8 sides and 8 angles. So if you count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 angles. So this shape is an octagon. We would classify it as an octagon. Go ahead and turn the page in your math book. This is a super duper helpful chart. So if you don't want to write down everything in your notebook, this would be a good page for you to come back to. So they're just classifying each type of shape. So you should know a lot of these already. A triangle has 3 sides and 3 angles. Here are some examples. A quadrilateral, quad means 4. So a quadrilateral has 4 sides, 4 angles. Okay, and there's 2 different examples of a quadrilateral. The square has 4 sides and 4 angles, and so does the trapezoid. 4 sides, 4 angles. A pentagon has 5 sides and 5 angles. So if you notice, here's a regular one. This is the usual type of pentagon we see, but then we also have kind of a funky looking one, but it still has 5 sides and 5 angles, so we can still call it a pentagon. Hexagons have 6 sides, 6 angles. Here's a regular one and a funky looking one. And then an octagon has 8 sides, 8 angles. And here are some examples. Okay. So then it just goes through some practice problems, describe the shape of the sign below, and determine the number of sides and angles. So obviously this is a triangle. It has 3 sides and 3 angles. So it is a triangle. Go to page 841. There's some more practice problems here, okay? Make sure you pay attention to the outline of the shape, but you're just going to go through the same thing here. How many sides? How many angles? And remember, the angles are found in the corners of the shape. That's where the angles are. So you're counting the corners when you're counting the angles. Okay, then they want you to draw an example of a triangle and a quadrilateral. I'm going to kind of skip through that. And let's go to page 842, because these are some of the problems that I like that make us think. It says, Bryson pushed a square pattern block and a triangular pattern block together as shown. What new polygon did he create? So if you traced the outline of this shape, let me see if I can get my pen. If you trace the outline of this shape, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 angles. So if it has 5 sides and 5 angles, it would be a pentagon. And actually, you know what? I don't think I'm going to write this whole word because it'll take me forever to write it with my mouse. All right, classify the polygon that has fewer angles than a quadrilateral. Well, if a quadrilateral has 4 angles, fewer than 4 would be 3. So what shape has 3 sides or 3 angles? Triangle, okay? All right, number 12, it says explain why each figure below is not a polygon. Well, our rules for a polygon was that it had to be closed, okay? It had to be 2-dimensional, which means it has to be flat. And then it can't have sides that are curved or crisscross each other. So if you look at these examples, the first one has an open doorway right here. So if it has an open door, an open side, it's not a polygon anymore. So this one is not a polygon because it has that open side. The second example is not a polygon because of this right here. The sides crisscross each other. So now it's no longer a polygon. You could say that it's 2 polygons, a triangle on top and a triangle on bottom, but the entire figure itself is not a polygon. Okay. Let's see. Number 14, draw and classify a polygon that has 4 sides with 2 angles that are greater than right angles. Well, so that would be, it'd be a quadrilateral, right? Because it has 4 sides, and it doesn't really matter what our angles are, as long as it has 4 angles. Okay. All right, so now you are ready to go ahead and do your edge elastic assignment